So what do you want to know? Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
So you worked on...
You got a thing on your head, you know that?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. A few spikes. You worked on Corey Taylor's new mask band Slipknot. What was it like working with him?
Corey Taylor?
Yeah.
Well, he's a fan. He came to my house, you know, I gave him the tour. He saw all the monsters.
Can you tell us anything about Creepshow, the series?
The TV series?
Yes.
Yeah, I can now because they finally announced. I directed an episode of it. It's coming on in September. Greg just sent me the preview. I don't know if it's aired on AMC. It'll be on Shudder. Is that something that you have to pay extra for?
Yes.
Shudder?
Yes.
Really? So I directed one. Greg directed two. There's 12 episodes. I'm sorry, 12 stories, but 6 episodes. So 2 episodes, 2 stories an episode for 6 episodes. I got that right, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. Plus there'll be wraparounds and comic book pages and the creep, you know, and all sorts of other things. So what else? Creepshow. Yeah, I mean, that was great fun. It was 2 weeks of prep, 3.5 days to shoot it. And the only reason we were able to shoot in 3.5 days is because we were surrounded by experts. Everybody was an expert. It was all Walking Dead people, you know, mostly Walking Dead people on the crew. The crew was so good. I saw a picture on Instagram of a Zippo lighter. It's from the 70s. When I got back from Vietnam, this was a lighter that we all had. It had a peace symbol and it said something like, we kill the unfortunate for the ungrateful, blah, blah. It was a famous saying back there in the 70s. I think, am I the oldest one here? I'm 72. Anybody older than me?
96.
Huh?
I think you win.
Okay. Anyway, but in the 70s, it was this famous lighter, you know. So I showed the prop guy a picture of this lighter. 20 minutes later, he handed me a Zippo lighter with that engraved on it, you know. Because one of the actors on my episode is supposed to be a Vietnam veteran, okay? So I gave it to him as kind of an actor's motivation, you know, he used it a lot. And I got to keep it, so, you know. But that's, yeah, you're gonna love it. There's some pretty great episodes, and it really follows the movie if you love the movie. As far as, you know, the way it's presented with, you know, the stuff in the background and the creep. Yeah. Come on in. We've been waiting for you. You're late. You missed the fun part.
And the raffle.
Oh, and you missed the raffle, yeah. Who won that $4,000? You know, 5 people won it.
We'll split it.
So 5 into 4,000. Yeah.
You directed some episodes on Creepshow. Are we going to see any of your makeup effects or some of your students?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, look, how can I tell you this without giving anything away? When I told them at my school that I was heading to Atlanta to shoot Creepshow, they said, "Oh, wow, you know, Eric Molinaris is in Atlanta. You don't know him, but he was come on in. Come on in. We've been waiting for you." So anyway, there's this thing in my episode. That's all I can say about it, I think. And I was wondering, we were waiting for someone to come and paint it, okay? So the guy shows up and it's Eric Molinaris, the guy that I was hoping to run into in Atlanta, you know. So, but he's the only one from the school. But my students are working everywhere. 9 of my students just worked on Avengers Endgame, you know. Guardians of the Galaxy, they've been working on so many things, you know, so, yeah. It's the school we just celebrated the 20th anniversary, 20 years. Yeah.
Congrats.
Anybody back there have a question? Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take you to do all the makeup for
The
the original Friday the 13th?
original Friday the 13th. How long did it take me to do that? I think we only prepped that for about 2 weeks. When was Friday the 13th? That was like 1980, right, yeah.
79 probably when you were shooting.
Well, 79 was Dawn of the Dead, wasn't it? Yeah. Because Friday the 13th came right after Dawn of the Dead.
I think
In fact, if it wasn't for George Romero, I wouldn't have a career, because if it wasn't the Dawn of the Dead, there would not have been, for me, Friday the 13th. But the first thing was to create Jason, you know, the kid. He's based on a bum that I saw in my neighborhood when I was a kid. We called them bums back then, not homeless. But he had one ear lower than the other, and his eye was all messed up, so I kind of designed Jason after him. But Jason had hair, the kid had hair originally. But we didn't like the way he just looked like, well, the word you would use 10 years ago would be retarded. Okay? I know that's politically incorrect, but so then I gave him this hydrocephalic mongoloid pinhead dome head, you know, and they like that a lot better. There's this, Betsy Palmer and I had this thing about, because when they sent me the script for part 2, Jason is running around. What are you guys doing? There's no Jason. Jason died in the first movie. But Betsy Palmer said, no, we never discovered the body. So I said, Betsy, that means, what, he crawled out of the lake, was eating crayfish for 35 years? Nobody saw this kid running around? So, but that's how we got away with it, you know. I killed him in part 4. It was even called the final chapter.
That was my favorite part.
Oh, it's everybody's favorite, yeah. Did you see the last one that came out?
Yeah.
Yes.
What a stupid... I mean, do you agree? I mean,
Yes.
there was dialogue in that thing. Your tits are stupendous. Like, who wrote that thing? A guy drops his gun, it's in a puddle, and he actually says, where are you, guns? Now, I hate people that talk in movies, okay? I jump up and tell people to shut up. Well, not anymore, because you can get shot, you know? But after that line, my friends and I kept yelling, where are you, gun? Your tits are stupendous. You know, and people would chime in, because the movie was so stupid. It was supposed to be a reimagining, a retelling of the Friday the 13th series, you know?
First 4 crammed into one movie. That's
Well, the
what
last
it
one was canceled, you know?
Right. Well,
Yeah. So I offered to direct one of them, and I said to Sean Cunningham, I said, you know what? When Frankenstein and the Wolfman were not scary anymore, they teamed them with Abbott and Costello and made the greatest comedy horror movie ever. I said, why don't we do the same thing with Friday the 13th? You get some rap group, you know, and they're in the woods and they come across Jason, and it's just making it, no. But what they're making is so much worse, you know, than that idea. Anyway.
Wait, Sean turned that down, but still took Jason to space?
Sean said, I'm not involved in it anymore, Sean. But then he hired a kid out of film school to direct that part 8, you know, so. Anyway, he's a liar. Gee, are there liars in showbiz? No. Yeah.
Hey, I've seen how like a lot of Ray Harryhausen's old puppets are, you know, rotting as the decades go on.
Mhm.
How are some of yours holding up, like the fluffy puppet or something?
Perfect, because I know that you have to spray that stuff with silicone lubricant at least once a year. If you have rubber masks or foam latex, you know, I've got masks that are 50 years old, and a couple that I forgot about in the attic, they turn hard, then they crumble into rust-colored dust. But if you spray them with silicone lubricant, they'll last forever. And Armor All is a silicone lubricant. But you can go to Home Depot and buy silicone lubricant, you know. But once a year, you don't remove the dust from them. Leave the dust on the mask and spray it, and it'll last for a long time. Anybody else? Surely there's something.
Can we,
How often do we get together to chat?
all right.
Can we go back to, or can we go to From Dusk Till Dawn for a moment?
Sure.
When you took that role, did you have a backstory for Sex Machine? And if not, can you make one up on the spot right
Yeah,
now?
sure. I've been a biker in quite a few movies. Dawn of the Dead.
Night Riders.
Knight Rider. Yeah, I'm Morgan from Knight Riders, who wound up at the Titty Twister in Texas. And, you know, so there you go. There's a backstory. Yeah.
You worked on a movie called Eyes of a Stranger, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get the job, and what exactly did the work entail?
Well, Ken Wiederhorn, the director, called me, and yeah, just said, "Hey, do you want to do this movie?" You know, and what were the effects? It was Jennifer Jason Leigh's first movie. I shot a guy in the head. I put a severed head in an aquarium using the real actor. He was a singer. He could hold his breath for like 2 minutes. So I put an appliance on him that made his own head look like a severed head, and the bookcase had false, just the fronts of the books, like an inch of the book, so it looked like there were books in there. He was actually inside the thing with his head through the fish tank. I glued a plastic bag to his neck and then glued that to the bottom. Put a bunch of decorations in there and water and fish, you know. And he held his breath for 2 minutes. But I had a sledgehammer behind my back. Yeah, because if anything went wrong, I was going to break the glass, you know. But he also had scuba gear that we wouldn't let him. Same thing with Ted Danson in Creepshow. He was in a big tank and we had a scuba that he was breathing off of. And even then, I had a sledgehammer behind my back. And that's because I saw the movie Houdini with Tony Curtis, remember? He was upside down and they came with a sledgehammer and broke it, yeah. And that's not how Houdini died, by the way. Nope. The movie ended with him lying on the stage making you think he was dead, but that's, where you been? We've been waiting for you.
Just got here.
We heard a rumor that Tom Savini was here. Anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, the game, Savini Jason.
Yeah.
You designed this. What was the inspiration behind that? Obviously, that little Jason Goes to Hell, I get it, but...
Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes, but how about a backstory? Pitch that to Sean, you know, get him the Jason Goes to Hell movie. You know what I mean? I mean, not the Jason Goes to Hell, but the Savini Jason character in a movie.
You know, I went to...
Animated even, or something like that, no?
Well, you could have got that Jason for $3 when it came out.
I did.
Now it's $3,000 on eBay. Somebody bought a bunch of codes and started selling them, you know. But I finally went to Sean Cunningham's house in Hollywood. And behind the front door, there's this Jason standing there that no one has ever seen. I took pictures of it, but I'm not allowed to show it to anybody. And it's a fabulous Jason. And that should have been the new Jason, I said, in the game, you know, but Sean wouldn't allow it, you know. I was a little pissed off because on Friday the 13th, I think I got 15 grand for the whole movie, equipment, the crew, you know, that I hired, you know, and all I wanted was a big screen TV. So I got it, you know. But the reviews all said that the star of the film is Tom Savini's effects. And I'm thinking, okay, they made $72 million. I made 15 grand. This isn't fair somehow, you know? Especially when I saw Sean's house.
You need to team up with Victor Miller.
Oh, no. I actually had to testify against him.
Wow.
In the statement, yeah. But wait, what were we talking about? Yeah, okay, so when they offered me part 4, I asked for a ton of money, and they gave it to me. So that kind of made up for the first Friday the 13th, you know. But that was going to be the last one, you know. That one made so much money, that's why. You're going to see a Friday the 13th, part 13, I'm sure, you know. I think we're up to 12 now, right?
Yes, with the remake, it's 12, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good luck with a new one. Maybe I should pitch him again, you know. Oh, anyway. What else do you want to know? Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about how you got into like special effects and prop making? Like, was it something as a kid that you would like dabble with? Or, like...
How did I get into it? Yeah, when I was a kid, I was 11 years old. I saw the movie A Man of 1,000 Faces. That was it, you know. And why did that move? I mean, why wasn't that just a move that I went to see and then, you know, life goes on. I'm an Italian kid in Bloomfield, you know. But that movie changed my life. It did something to me, and I don't know why. Unless I was Lon Chaney in a private life, in a previous life, and oh yeah, that's who I am. Okay, let's do it again, you know. But that's all I could think about was makeup after that movie. Well, actually, before that movie, the monsters were real. I wish I could see a movie again through those eyes. You know, Frankenstein was real. That's why he was so scary. Wolfman, the Mummy, all that stuff scared me. But Man of 1,000 Faces showed me that somebody creates that stuff. And I preach this to my students. The magic that you felt from a movie, which is why you're here at my school, or you know why you're interested in makeup or whatever, is gone. That magic is gone once you get behind the scenes. A new magic takes its place, the magic of creativity. But it takes a lot for me to watch a movie and not think of what choices the director's making, or the lighting, or the dialogue, or something like that. My daughter, when she was 9.5, she made me take her to see Coppola's Dracula over and over again. And I'm sure there were people in the audience wondering, what's this guy doing with this little girl in this movie? If you sat next to her, she's like, now Dad, is that human hair or yak hair? Is that foam latex or... shut up! It's hard enough for me to forget all this stuff, and she's, is that foam latex or gelatin, So anyway, I don't want to see a movie through her eyes. Again, but that magic is something that made me from that movie on, I decided I'm going to be one of the guys that creates the monsters, and that's where it all began. And the same thing is true for my students, because I asked them that same question when they're all sitting. They spend their first day with me. We just talk, And it was always some movie that made them interested in makeup effects. You had a question, yeah.
Did you want to direct from the beginning of your effects career, or did something happen along the line that made you want to?
Well, that's a good question. I was an actor before I was a makeup artist. The makeup kit was in the attic, and it always haunted me and called my name when I got interested in other stuff, But even when I did the makeup effects for movies, I always try to play a part in those movies. And that's led to more parts and then just parts. We've been waiting for you. Have a seat.
Found out.
Oh, that's quite right, quite right. What was I talking about? Okay, directing, yeah. I don't know, it just kind of came naturally. I directed plays for a while. I directed the Dracula play all over the place, the 1930 version and then this new version. I turned Dracula into a bat right on stage. It was a magic show. With the Pepper's Ghost illusion? Do you know what that is? That's how I did it. And the audience was like, what? They couldn't believe he was standing right there, and now he's a bat that flies away. And I was like, and there's one great effect that was in the 1930 script. It's right there in the technical aspect part of the script. It was the same version that Lugosi did on Broadway. But Dracula, they've surrounded him with crucifixes, and he's like, you fools, you think you can conquer me with, I've lived for 400 years, you morons, that kind of thing. He turns his back to the audience and he raises his cape, and they all grab him, okay? And they're tugging with him, and the cape falls to the ground, and he's gone. And it's very simple. There's a couch on the set, So Dracula turns his back, and when they grab him, they grab the cape, and then the two guys that grab him reach under it, and they grab each other, and it looks like they're fighting him. All he did was go behind the couch. And there's a carpet on the stage, so there can't be any trapdoor, So it was one of the simplest, best effects ever, So, and again, the audience was like, "What?" They couldn't believe it. So that's part of the magic of that play, So that's the fun directing, because you're in charge of all the departments, What's frustrating is when you direct something, because you put every effort into every single frame, every connection, every pause, and then if it's for a studio, they butcher it. It's like if you did a painting and they come over with razor blades and cut sections away, anyway, that's the frustrating part. But the hardest thing to do is acting, You have to cry in 5 minutes. Ready? What would it take for you to gear up so your body would produce tears? Imagine the challenge of that. That's what an actor does, okay? Over and over again. That's what I hate about acting in films, is repeating over and over, and take 2 and take 4, That's why Sinatra only did 1 take. That was it. I love that idea, Somebody had a question back there. Oh, go ahead, yeah. Oh, right there, yeah. Any fun stories from any of the movies? Let's see. Did you see Django Unchained? Okay. In Django Unchained, I had a beard down to here, and my hair was very long, and I had the attack dogs, with the slave up the tree when Leonardo DiCaprio pulls up. And We had like a 15-minute session with the animal trainer and the dogs, Bullet and King. They were Belgian Malinois shepherds. And the trainer would say to the dog, stand up, sit down, go over there, move left. And the dog like did everything he said like he understood English, okay? So he said, okay, now I want you to hold on to the dogs, and I'm going to make them go crazy. And I want you to hang on to them. Oh, okay, shit, okay. So he did this, and the dogs dragged me into the swamp 30 feet away. It was like holding back a car, okay? But I was finally able to brace myself, you know, and hold on to those damn dogs. So they, you know, and so that was our training session. So the slave was up the tree, Leonardo DiCaprio pulls up and he says, shut these dogs up, I can't hear myself think, or something like that. And this guy next to me is supposed to say, get these dogs out of here. But he's screaming, fuck, you know, he's screaming. And I look, and the dogs are attacking him. The dogs, because the trainer was over there, the trainer should have been behind the slave in the tree. So the dogs attacked, they tore off his pants. They bit him.
This shouldn't be funny.
They bit him on the ass. They dragged him to the ground by his ass cheek, okay? And Quentin yelled, cut! Lunch, we all went to lunch. And the guy came back after lunch with new wardrobe, and his ass looked like the planet Mars, you know, so we did the take again, and this time the guy set his line, and I went to grab the dogs by the leash, and now the dogs have attacked me. I've got a dog on my arm and a dog on my leg, but I'm not stopping until Quentin yells cut, you know, so he yells cut. And the animal trainer said the reason I still have my arm, the dogs are trained to attack stunt pads. They didn't feel any pads. It still hurt though, and it wasn't the teeth, it was the pressure from their jaw. Anyway, me and the guy wound up going to the hospital and getting tetanus shots, even though my skin wasn't broken. So the next day, they bring the slave down from the tree, and they attach a fake arm to him, and the dogs were going to come and tear the fake arm off. And his real arm was behind his back. And on every take, you could see the guy's real arm, you know. And Quentin was getting frustrated, you know, and they couldn't solve the problem. And I didn't want to say anything, because it's K&B, it's my friends, you know, it's Greg Nicotero, he's doing the effects, you know. But Quentin walked by, and I said, hey man, do you remember when I did that effect in Day of the Dead with the guy? I said, well, I dug a hole in the ground, and the guy's real arm goes into the hole, and all you're aware of is his body and the fake arm. We did that to Tim DeLeo in Day of the Dead when his arm got cut off. Quentin said, that's great. Okay. I said, yeah, but don't say I said anything. So he goes back to the set, and about 5 minutes later, he says, why don't you guys dig a hole into him for that fake arm? And they resisted. He said, no, I think it's going to work. So he did it, and it was gorgeous. They did 7 takes. The dogs tore the arm off, you know. So I'm standing there, and like a couple of minutes later, and Quentin walks by, and he sticks something in my hand. I look, and it's $5. He says, we have a tradition on my set that if somebody from another department helps a department solve a problem, you're the $5 guy, you're the $5 hero guy. So I became the $5 hero guy. But the next day, I was the purple penis guy. Because, I don't know where they hide it, I don't know how they blow it up so fast. And if you fall asleep on a Quentin Tarantino set, you know, they blow up this big purple penis and they stick it in your face and take a picture. So, luckily for me, I fell asleep with my head forward and the penis was back here. You know, instead of like, you know. So now we're in a swamp, The only hard ground is 2 or 3 feet on either side of the dirt road. And they bring out a clipboard about as big as from that door over there, this huge board to ceremoniously add my picture to the many pictures who fell asleep on the set. So that's what it's like to be on a Quentin Tarantino set. So, yeah.
What was your, I guess, the hardest one and most favorite creature you ever created?
The hardest one or most favorite creature?
Yeah.
Well, they're all my children, you know. You can't have special children. If I think about Fluffy from Creepshow, then I got to think about Lizzie from Tales from the Dark Side, or Grandpa from Texas Chainsaw. But they're all my children. It's kind of hard to beat Fluffy, though. I never did an animatronic creature before, so I'm kind of fond of Fluffy, you know, most of all, yeah.
You directed the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yeah.
Outstanding, love it. The ending, was that, who came up with that? Was that a kind of a collaborative thing, or who made that call? Because that was amazing.
The ending?
Yes, the ending with the twist.
Okay, I'm glad you asked me this question. I have a new book coming out. It's Night of the Living Dead 90, the version you've never seen, okay? It's the 600 storyboards from Night of the Living Dead. And there's a bunch of stuff I didn't get to do. The ending that I wrote, the ending that I wanted to shoot was, Barbara comes back to the house, and she sees something in the attic, and she thinks it's Ben. So she goes right up to the attic. She doesn't go in the kitchen. We had to settle for that because of time running out. But she goes up to the attic, and there's just junk everywhere, you know, and there's a full-length mirror in the middle of the floor. And Harry is behind the mirror. And he peeks out from behind the mirror. Now, what you're seeing is Harry, but you're seeing Barbara's reflection in the mirror. So it's a two-shot, Harry and Barbara. And I never cut to Barbara. It's always just in the mirror. So Harry says, you came back. And she raises the gun, and he ducks behind the glass, and she fires, and the mirror goes, you know. The next thing you see is Harry's point of view falling to the ground, and when he looks up, he's looking in the mirror, and Barbara's now all distorted because of the gun blast. So that's the moment that she becomes one of them. Because she just killed Harry in cold blood.
Yeah.
She does it in the ending anyway.
Yeah.
So she yells down, there's another one up here for the fire. So they drag Ben and Harry together and put them on the fire, and the whole ending credits are them burning into nothingness, okay? That's my ending. But it was one of those, I get my hand slapped because there's no time for that, okay? And I say that a lot in the new book. I refer to these things as that got shot down because they always kept saying, well, okay, I did the storyboards, put them up on a wall, so whenever somebody walked in, the prop guy, costumes, whatever, I could show them the whole movie. George came in, because George wasn't there. George had to go write The Dark Half in Florida. He had a deadline. So George looked at the storyboards. He says, these are great, but this is a 6-week movie, and you have 4 weeks to shoot it. And they started cutting stuff. I wanted Tom, when they go to the gas pump, I wanted Tom to catch on fire. You know, the gas comes and blows him. And the stunt guy said, we can do that in 10 minutes. They cut that before we even started shooting. And I'm like, well, you don't know what our schedule is going to be like, how fast we're going to move. Why would you cut that now? Well, because we want to make sure we get all the dialogue. Okay, you're saying people come to listen to people talk or to see stuff happen? You know? I'd rather see stuff like that happen than listen to, you know, because at that point, Barbara was a brain-dead twit from the original movie. So I said to George, why can't she come back and help people? He said, she's dead. I said, no, you just see them drag her out. You don't see her killed. So that's when he wrote the ending that's in my movie. Because I had seen Sigourney Weaver in Alien. She's a hero. You know, I wanted a female hero. That's why Barbara in my version is a hero. So that's one of the big differences. But this book is coming out by Halloween. It's called, again, Night of the Living Dead 90, the version you've never seen. And all this stuff is in there, underneath all the storyboards, okay? Can I see a hand go? Yeah. Oh, okay. Go ahead, dear. Go ahead, yeah. Uh-huh.
So the original Friday the 13th was sort of a low-budget movie, and how did you feel about them having to kill a real snake on the set?
Well, okay. That wasn't in the script. And my assistant, Tasso, found a rattlesnake, and he brought it into the production office. And somebody there said, oh, great, we can use that in the film. But we didn't know how they were going to use it, but they did kill that snake, that real snake. Today, they'd be arrested. Okay. Yeah, back there. I'm sorry? How many effects what? Oh, just one. No, we don't compete with ourselves. No, there's only one. It's in Pittsburgh. I get asked that question a lot, though, you know. Why can't we have a school here, you know? Well, because we're competing with ourselves, you know. It's the #1 school in the country for a lot of reasons. It's a degree program. Parents love the fact that it's a degree program. It's 16 months. You know, most other schools are like 11 weeks, 4 months, and we're not kidding around. Even 16 months isn't enough, I don't think, you know, to learn this stuff. The semesters start February, June, or October, and it's 16 months from those 3 places. And the students come from all over the world. Sometimes they show up, they've never sculpted before, never touched clay. And this one guy, Darren Holt, is his friend in here? I met his friend today, Darren Holt, anyway. This guy never sculpted, never touched clay. And he created this legend, the legend character from From Legend.
Yeah.
I get it, okay. And in his sophomore year, I bought it from him, okay? And he's doing incredible stuff today with Steve Wang. You know? But that's what happens sometimes. There's a creature that lives inside you that you suddenly give birth to, something that never existed before. You know, and that's the fun, that's the magic. That's the new magic I was talking about. The magic of creativity. Here's a blob of clay, you turn it into something that never existed before, and then when you learn animatronics to give it life, you know, yeah, it's pretty spectacular. I love it. And if you're lucky like me, and you get to kill it, then that's the Frankenstein syndrome. You give life to something that never existed, and you get to kill it, like Jason in Friday the 13th. Okay, that's great fun.
We've got time for one more question.
All right, who's got it really? Okay, good. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. What was one of your best memories from Dusk Till Dawn?
From Dusk Till Dawn. Well, that's the most fun I've ever had. My job for 3 days was to watch Salma Hayek do that dance. Well, somebody had to do it. You know? But everybody. I mean, George Clooney, the nicest man I've ever met. He was a big influence on me. It doesn't take a lot of effort to be nice. If you go to Google, if you put my name in Google, Tom Savini is a dick. It used to be the fourth thing. I think my assistant buried it like two pages later, but it's still there because you can't get rid of that shit. You know, Tom Savini is a dick, and it's because I was at a convention in Texas, and I'm signing just like I do here. And the girl came up, and I was signing her picture. There's a friend of mine that's standing behind me on the phone with one of our friends, and he says, "Hey, I'm talking to Matt. Do you mind? Hey," he walked away. Well, where was I?
That guy's a dick.
Oh, I'm a dick, right. Why am I a dick?
You were signing.
Oh, I was signing a girl. Okay. And my friend on the phone behind me said, "Hey, I'm talking to Matt." And I said to him, "I don't want to talk to anybody right now." To him, okay. So I'm signing the picture, but what she heard was, I'm signing the picture, and I said, "I don't want to talk to anybody right now." And she walked away with the picture and just threw it back at the table. And, what? Why the hell did she do that? Then we figured it out. That's what she saw. She saw me signing her picture and saying, so we traced her. We tried to find her, we couldn't find her. We were going to give her free stuff and explain what happened. Anyway, she started a blog. That's why I'm a dick. You do one thing, you're a dick forever, you know.
We heard it today coming in.
You did?
Yeah.
Tom Savini's a dick?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Some asshole out there.
Some asshole. All right, bring him to my table.
Yeah, he had never met you before. I heard he's a dick, is what he said.
Why? Because he went and saw it on. He Googled my name.
It's on the internet. It must be true. He said we've met him several times. He's always been great.
But the point is that George Clooney, okay, he was a big influence on me to be nice to everyone, you know. Again, it doesn't take much effort, and it was very inspiring for him because he's a star. You know, he takes time out to be very nice, and he really is genuinely very nice. I saw him recently at a screening of Argo, when that movie came out, and they were all leaving the stage. Bryan Cranston, George Clooney, Ben Affleck, and he saw me. Hey, Tommy, hugged me, and people were like, "How the hell do you know this guy?" You know? Because he and my daughter were great. My daughter was 9.5 when we did Dusk Till Dawn. And she was always in his trailer. But so was Salma Hayek. So I went over, "Hey, George, you know, she doesn't," no, she's fine. He bought her a watch, you know, a Pepsi watch. And then before Batman, I called him, his secretary answered the phone. And I said, "Hey, well, you know, my daughter's birthday's coming up, and he and George are such pals, you know. Can we get a picture of George's Batman for her birthday?" "No! Warner Brothers will not release any pictures of George Clooney as Batman until the movie comes out." So they sent George a big color portrait of himself for his approval. He signed it, "Happy Birthday, Lee," and FedExed it to my daughter. So that's what kind of nice guy George Clooney is. All right, hey, thank you. Thank you for